This is Romeo and Juliet, Act 2, Scene 3. When we last met, Romeo and Juliet had decided to get married, and Romeo was running to Friar Lawrence's cell to ask him to help. And we start off the scene with Friar Lawrence, who is a friar and a priest, but he is also a botanist. He knows a lot about plants and herbs, and so he's kind of talking about the powers of each here in his soliloquy at the beginning.
The grey-eyed morn smiles on the frowning night, checkering the eastern clouds with streaks of light. And flecked darkness, like a drunkard, reels from forth day's path and tightens fiery wheels. Now, ere the sun advance his burning eye, the day to cheer and night's dank dew to dry, I must upfill this osier cage of ours with baleful weeds and precious juiced flowers. The earth, that's nature's mother, is her tomb. What is her burying grave? That is her womb. And from her womb, children of divers kind, we sucking on her natural bosom kind, many for many virtues excellent, none but for some, and yet all different. Mickle is the powerful grace that lies in plants, herbs, stones, and their true qualities. For naught so vile that on the earth doth live, but to the earth some special good doth give. Nor aught so good, but strained from that fair use, revolts from true birth, stumbling on abuse. Virtue itself turns vice, being misapplied, and vice sometimes by action dignified. Within the infant rind of this weak flower, poison hath residence and medicine power. For this being smelt, with that part cheers each part, being tasted, slays all senses with the heart. Two such opposite kings encamp them still in man, as well as herbs, grace, and rude will. And where the worser is predominant, full soon the canker death eats up that plant.
So as we listen to Friar Lawrence talk about plants and herbs, he explains how everything in nature has some sort of special property, some sort of different power. So herbs and plants and stones all possess this great power, and there's nothing on earth that isn't here for some special reason. So he has lots of opposition in his speech. So he talks about day and night, life and death, poison, medicine, love, hate. All of these different opposing juxtapositions are in his soliloquy. And he is talking about how some plants can be both good and bad. Okay, so if there's one plant that if you smell it, it makes you feel really great all over and it heals your body. But if you taste it, then you die. So there's a little bit of foreshadowing in there. And then he compares these herbs and plants to people. So just like plants and herbs are both good and evil, so are humans.
Morrow, Father! Benedicite! What early tongue so sweet saluteth me? Young son, need our use a distempered head so soon to bid good morrow to thy bed? Care keeps his watch in every old man's eye, and where care lodges, sleep will never lie. But where unbruised youth with unstuffed brain doth couch his limbs, there golden sleep doth reign. Therefore thy earliness doth me assure thou art uproused with some distemperature. Or if not so, then here I hit it right. Romeo hath not been in bed tonight.
That last is true, the sweeter rest was mine.
God pardon sin, wast thou with Rosaline?
With Rosaline, my ghostly father, no. I have forgot that name, and that name's woe.
That's my good son. But where hast thou been then?
Romeo shows up to Friar Lawrence's cell, and he says, "Good morning." And Friar Lawrence says, "Wow, why are you here so early? Have you slept at all tonight?" There's only one reason why men would get up so early, and it'd be that maybe there's something really worrying them. So either there's a problem, or you haven't been to bed yet tonight. And Romeo says, "You're right, I haven't. I've enjoyed something sweeter than rest." And immediately Friar Lawrence says, "Oh no, you sinned. Have you been with Rosaline?" And Romeo says, Rosaline, no, oh, I forgot all about her and all the sadness that she brought me. No, I've been someplace else. And Friar Lawrence says, okay, well, that's great. Where have you been then?
I'll tell thee ere thou askest me again. I have been feasting with mine enemy, where on a sudden one hath wounded me that's by me wounded. Both are remedies within thy help and holy physic lies. I bear no hatred, blessed man, for lo, my intercession likewise steads my foe.
Be plain, good son, and homely in thy drift. Riddling confession finds but riddling shrift.
Then plainly know my heart's dear love is set on the fair daughter of rich Capulet. As mine on hers, so hers is set on mine, and all combined save what thou must combine by holy marriage. When and where and how we met, we wooed and made exchange of vow, I'll tell thee as we pass, but this I pray, that thou consent to marry us today.
So Friar Lawrence is asked, well, where have you been? And Romeo says, I was dining with my enemy, and suddenly someone wounded me with their love, and I wounded them with my love, and you are the only one that has the sacred power to save us. And Friar Lawrence says, what? What are you saying? Don't speak in riddles. Make your meaning clear, please. So Romeo says, I'm in love with Capulet's daughter, and we are bound to each other in every way except for marriage. So I'm here today to ask for you to marry us. Please agree to marry us today.
Holy St. Francis, what a change is here! Is Rosaline that thou didst love so dear, so soon forsaken? Young men's love then lies not truly in their hearts, but in their eyes. Jesu Maria, what a deal of brine has washed thy sallow cheeks for Rosaline! How much salt water thrown away in waste to season love that of love doth not taste! The sun not yet thy sighs from heaven clears, thy old groans yet ring in mine ancient ears. Lo, here upon thy cheek the stain doth sit of an old tear that is not washed off yet. Ha! If e'er thou wast thyself and these woes thine, thou and these woes were all for Rosaline. And art thou changed? Pronounce this sentence then. Women may fall when there's no strength in men.
Thou chidst me oft for loving Rosaline.
For doting, not for loving, pupil mine.
And badst me bury love.
Not in a grave, to lay one in, another out to have.
I pray thee chide me not. Her I love now doth grace for grace and love for love allow. The other did not so.
Oh, she knew well thy love did read by rote that could not spell. But come, young waverer, come, go with me. In one respect, I'll thy assistant be, for this alliance may so happy prove, to turn your household's rancor to pure love.
Oh, let us hence, I stand on sudden haste.
Wisely and slow. They stumble that run fast.
So as Romeo asks Friar Lawrence to marry them, he says, Holy St. Francis, this is a drastic change. Not many hours ago, you were in love with Rosaline, and young men who love with their eyes are not very smart. You're loving with your eyes and not with your heart. So he sort of scolds Romeo and says, you know, you're rushing into this, you're loving too fast, and how can you expect women to be faithful when men are so unreliable and they just bounce from woman to woman? So Romeo says, well, you scolded me for loving Rosaline, and Friar Lawrence says, I scolded you for obsessing over her, not for loving her. And I did not tell you to stop loving her and just start loving someone else. So Romeo says, I'm sorry, please don't be mad at me, but I do love this other girl, and she returns my love now, which Rosaline didn't. And Friar Lawrence says, well, yeah, Rosaline knew that you didn't really love her. She knew that you were only loving her with your eyes, and so she understood that you only liked her for her looks, not because you actually loved her. And then he starts to think, and he says, okay, I will help you with your secret marriage. I will marry the two of you, because for this alliance may so happy prove to turn your household's rancor into pure love. So he thinks that if Romeo and Juliet get married it could end the feud between the Capulets and the Montagues. So yes, I will marry you because I think it will be better in the long run for the whole family. So Romeo says, okay, thank you so much. Hurry up because I'm in a rush. And those last words are from Friar Lawrence. He says, wisely and slow, they stumble that run fast. So he says, go wisely and go slowly, because those who rush into things stumble and fall. So those are some really important words from Friar Lawrence. Again, some foreshadowing. We are rushing into this wedding, and it's probably not the greatest thing. And that is the end of Act 2, Scene 3.